Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I'm talking about episode 89, so let's get to it. Episode 89 begins with Dialga and Palkia who clash and start battling each other, which is an epic scene though it is not clear why they are battling. They end up clashing continuously, which leads to the creation of some strange portals, and lightning enters each portal as well. It's obvious that these portals and the lightning are the result of distortions in time and space, which were caused by Dialga and Palkia's battle. It is then shown that Team Rocket are here witnessing the battle between Dialga and Palkia. However, this is not the Team Rocket that we know, since they clearly have futuristic combat suits on, and they are much more serious and ominous than the normal Team Rocket. Jessie says that every Pokemon will belong to Team Rocket. Now behind Team Rocket, you can see two huge rings that look like the ring Arceus has around it. It is funny that I did not notice them here the first time that I watched the episode, but I did notice them when going back through the episode the second time for the review. You can also see the red chain here, which has been used in both games and anime to control Dialga and Palkia. The red chain also has the power of Arceus, which explains why these two rings are here. They are probably a manifestation of Arceus' power. The episode then cuts to Dawn, who is rehearsing for contests with her Pokemon. We can see her entire party here except for Piplup, which is nice. When Dawn appeared in episodes 74 and 75, me and a lot of other people wanted to see her entire party, but we only got to see Piplup instead, so it's great that we get to see them all again. Many people wanted to see if some of them evolved, and I did want to see this as well, but they are all the same. None of the ones that can evolve have evolved, which is a little disappointing, but it is also acceptable since it would be much better to see them evolve on screen. So Dawn wonders where Piplup is, and it turns out that Piplup is off to the side, sleeping. Dawn scolds Piplup because he should be focusing on rehearsing instead of sleeping, but Piplup dozes off again, which angers Dawn, who exclaims that Piplup should be the role model for the rest of the party, but instead he just keeps slacking off. Piplup runs away since Dawn is scolding him, and Dawn chases Piplup. Piplup ends up in a nearby forest where he runs into a girl who tears up when she sees Piplup. The girl picks up Piplup and she enters a portal. Dawn sees this and she tells the girl to stop. The girl does stop and she turns around. Dawn realizes that this girl looks just like her. The portal then closes, and so the other Dawn and Piplup are both gone. The episode then cuts to Ceres Institute where Ash receives a call from Dawn who tells Ash what happened. So Ash decides to travel to the Sinnoh Region to help Dawn. Ash then tells everyone in the lab what happened to Dawn. Professor Cerise, Krisa, and Ren say that recently there have been a ton of Pokemon disappearances all over the Sinnoh region, and that they are all unexplained. Ash and Goh decide that they definitely have to go to Sinnoh to see what is going on. Chloe, who happens to be in the lab as well, also decides to tag along. Obviously because she cares about Dawn given the bond that they formed in episodes 74 and 75. The episode then cuts to a sad Dawn who is soon joined by Ash, Chloe, and Goh. Ash apologizes to Dawn for the delay, but honestly considering that they traveled from Kanto to Sinnoh and it is still the same day and the same time of day at that, I think that they got here pretty fast. Dawn says that it is fine, or at least that she wishes she could say this. She is clearly not fine. Ash reveals that he brought along some croquettes for Dawn to cheer her up, which is really nice of him. Dawn tears up because Ash is being so considerate, but she soon decides to put aside the tears since she is not being herself, and she says that this time she will really be fine. Everyone sits down to eat the croquettes together, and Dawn mentions that Piplup was taken by someone that looks just like her. Goh mentions that recently they did meet someone who looked just like Chloe, meaning Haruhi. And Chloe says that there's also the saying that everyone has 3 identical lookalikes. However, Dawn says that this is different because the other Dawn entered a portal with Piplup and they vanished alongside said portal. Everyone else is confused because they don't know what this portal may be. Ash does wonder if it's something like an Ultra Hole, which is a nice reference / callback. But Dawn says that what she saw was different. She then says that she went to Officer Jenny, who said that there have been several cases just like Dawn's case, and that the portals in question seem to be connected to some other place. So people have started to call these portals gates. Ash, Chloe, and Goh wonder about what these gates could be until Pikachu is stolen by Team Rocket. The usual Team Rocket, the one that we do know, who we have not seen in a while. It definitely feels like it has been ages since I last saw them. Probably because I did not review the last episode where they did appear, and the last episode where they did appear before that one was months ago. In order to stop Team Rocket, Ash sends out Lucario, who uses Aura Sphere to destroy the contraption that is holding Pikachu. Now I love that Pikachu closes his eyes here like, oh no, watch out, what are you doing? Pikachu falls towards the ground, but Ash catches Pikachu. Goh then sends out Inteleon, who uses Snipe Shot to pop Team Rocket's balloon, and so Team Rocket blasts off again. Now I love how Inteleon makes this cool pose, and then it aims up with its finger gun like a total badass. A gate then opens and the other Team Rocket emerges from it with jetpacks. It's a shame that the original Team Rocket is not here to see their doppelgangers, which would lead to some fun reactions, but this might happen later. So Ash says that it's Team Rocket again, while Chloe wonders when they had the time to come back, and Goh says that Team Rocket sure are persistent. Now I understand that it's difficult to accept that there could be more than one Team Rocket, but considering that they just saw the usual Team Rocket blast off, and that they heard what Dawn said, I don't understand how they think that this is the same Team Rocket. Especially since this Team Rocket is wearing these crazy combat suits that the original Team Rocket do not have. Also, this Team Rocket reminds me of the short time when the original Team Rocket was actually serious and capable for once, back in the Black and White series. The original Team Rocket wore black uniforms back then, which is just like this other Team Rocket who wear black combat suits. So, the other Meowth uses Dark Pulse to attack Lucario and Inteleon. The other Wobbuffet then uses Electrified Nets to capture Lucario and Inteleon. The other Team Rocket then retreat and they go back into the gate. Ash, Dawn, and Goh rush towards the gate, but the other Meowth uses Dark Pulse, which stops Ash in his tracks, so only Dawn and Goh get to enter the gate before it closes, which leaves Ash, who is worried about Lucario, and Chloe behind. Dawn and Goh end up in a place that looks very much like the place they were at. They both realize that Ash and Chloe are not here, and they wonder where the other Team Rocket is, but the other Team Rocket is nowhere to be found. They both then talk about where they are. That Officer Jenny said that the gates led to some other place, but they ended up in the same place, though something is different. And yes, I noticed right away that it looks darker now, and when they show this same angle that they showed before, I noticed that the same guy is walking down the hill just like before, but now his outfit is darker, and he no longer has a Kricketot with him. Dawn and Golden notice that there is an aurora in the sky, which is not something you can see in this area. This further proves to Dawn and Gold that they are definitely in another place. This aurora is also the reason why it looks darker here. Dawn decides that they should go to her house to see if they figure out what's going on, and Dawn runs off towards her house before Goh can say much in response. So, Goh says that Dawn is a lot like Ash. Well, she did travel with Ash for over 100 episodes, and I guess that traveling with Ash for a while will make you pick up some of his quirks and personality traits. Dawn and Goh soon reach Dawn's house, and Goh wonders if Dawn sees anything that is different. Dawn says that everything looks the same, however, she soon sees that the flowers in the garden are gone. Goh realizes that there were no flowers at the park they were at either. Dawn realizes that Goh's right, and she mentions that flowers are not the only thing that's missing. They then show the earlier scene of the guy walking down the hill towards the park once again, since Dawn and Goh think back to what they saw before. Dawn and Goh both remember that the guy's Kricketot is gone now in this other place that they are at now, which is what I noticed before, though I did not notice that the flowers were gone too until this point in the episode. So, Dawn and Goh realize that the Pokemon are gone as well. They then then go to Dawn's room where they see pictures, trophies, and certificates that show that this room does belong to Dawn, but it belongs to the other Dawn instead. Also, it turns out that the other Dawn ended up earning second place at the Sinnoh League, which is great. She did better than Ash did at the Sinnoh League, which is impressive. This also means that the other Dawn chose to stick to battling instead of choosing to focus on contests, like the Dawn we know did. However, the other Dawn's partner Pokemon is also a Piplup. So while the two Dawn did make different decisions when it comes to certain things, they also chose the same things in other situations. Goh says that if there really is another Dawn, then this place is probably another world or another dimension. Or at least, that's what I think he was going to say, since Goh is interrupted by Dawn before he can finish what he was saying. Dawn heard that someone is about to enter the room, so she interrupted Goh so that they can see who it is. Dawn says that they should talk to whoever it is. Now, it is odd that they repeat this last bit again after the commercial break and the Who's That Pokemon section, which is just unnecessary. They probably just wanted to pad the episode's runtime. The door then opens and unsurprisingly, it's the other Dawn and Piplup. Goh is surprised because the two Dawn really do look identical. Piplup then immediately greets original Dawn, who happily hugs Piplup because she is so relieved to see that Piplup is okay. The other Dawn is clearly shocked and saddened by this. The other Dawn then realizes that original Dawn and Goh came to this world via a gate, and she explains that gates do connect two worlds. The world they are currently on is indeed another world, and that she and original Dawn are the same person but from different worlds. This is not really a surprise since it was very obvious that this is the case. The other Dawn then apologizes for taking Piplup. She actually wanted to return Piplup right away, but the gate closed before she could. Original Dawn says that she knows that the other Dawn is close to her Piplup too because of the pictures. So other Dawn knows how difficult it is to be separated from her Pokemon. This clearly bothers the other Dawn, and it's cute that Piplup approaches her like, "Are you okay?" Goh wonders why there aren't any Pokemon in this world. Other Dawn wonders if original Dawn and Goh would go with her to meet her Piplup. Now this sounds like an ominous request that indicates that something really bad happened to her Piplup, but thankfully it's nothing so serious. Original Dawn and Goh do decide to go with other Dawn to meet her Piplup, and so they'll go to the Pokemon Center in Sand Gem Town, where other Dawn reveals that her Piplup is an egg. He turned back into an egg. There are a bunch of other eggs here, and the same thing happened to all of them as well. Original Dawn wonders how this happened. So other Dawn explains that one day strange portals opened all over Sinnoh and strange things started to happen. Pokemon would forget moves, and they show that other Dawn's Piplup was affected by this. And it's interesting that this is the same moment depicted in the picture found in other Dawn's room, which I assume was taken during the Sinnoh League. If this is the case, then maybe Piplup forgetting moves is why other Dawn ended up in second place, meaning that she could have been the winner of the Sinnoh League, if only this strange phenomenon had not affected Piplup. So she was absolutely cheated out of her victory. The next strange thing that happened is that Pokemon de-evolved, and they show that other Dawn's Mamoswine and Quilava returned to being a Piloswine and a Cyndaquil respectively, while her Piplup returned to being an egg. I guess that Pokemon that are already in their lowest stage of evolution return to eggs instead, since they can't de-evolve. Also, this shows that both Dawn have more Pokemon in common than just Piplup. Other Dawn says that all the affected Pokemon have been brought to this Pokemon Center where Professor Rowan searches for the cause of the problem. She then says that one day a gate just happened to open in front of her, and said gate showed her a Piplup. Since this Piplup looked so much like her own, she could not resist picking Piplup up, and she apologizes once again. Original Dawn says, "Don't worry, I should apologize too because I had no idea." But the other Dawn insists that she did something truly unforgivable, not only because she took someone's dear Pokemon, but also because now, Original Dawn and Ghost Pokemon will be affected by the strange phenomenon as well. Original Dawn grabs Piplup in tears, saying that she does not want this to happen to Piplup. She then turns to Goh, wondering if there is something they can do to stop this from happening. Goh says that based on what they have heard so far, it seems like time and space are distorted, and that there are some Pokemon that have to do with these concepts. They all then start trying to remember who these Pokemon are until Original Dawn says Dialga and Palkia. I have to say that it took her too long to remember considering that she has encountered these two Pokemon before. The episode then fittingly cuts right here to Dialga and Palkia, who are being subdued by the red chain and by the Arceus rings that were shown earlier. It's clear that someone is trying to take control of Dialga and Palkia. And judging by what we saw before, this someone is likely the other Team Rocket. The episode then cuts to Ash and Chloe. Ash wonders if Dawn, Lucario, and Goh are on the other side of the gate. Chloe says that perhaps these gates lead to another world. She read a novel recently that had a different world than ours, and both worlds were connected by mysterious doors. Ash wonders if they can find Lucario if they can get to the other world, and if Dawn and Goh are there too. Chloe says that this is probably the case, and she wonders if there is a Pokemon that can travel to another world. Ash thinks for a while, and he soon says Palkia. Ash remembered faster than Dawn did, so at least someone does remember their adventures well. Chloe then uses her Pokédex to learn more about Palkia. The Pokédex says that Palkia can indeed travel to other worlds, so Ash exclaims, "I knew it. If we can get Palkia's help, then we can travel to the other world." Chloe then wonders if the Pokédex has any more details on Palkia. The Pokédex says that more information is available at the Canalave library. So Ash and Chloe decide to visit the library. At the library, Chloe does not find any information. However, Cynthia soon appears and she is surprised. She says that it's quite a coincidence to find Ash here. Now, I love that Pikachu clearly knew that Cynthia was here before she approached the group, which is just like in episode 83 where Pikachu also knew that Cynthia was around. And I also love that Cynthia gives a lot of love to Pikachu here, again like in episode 83. So Pikachu and Cynthia definitely get along well. Also, speaking of episode 83, Ash has encountered Cynthia twice thus far in Pokemon Journeys by going to places of research, which makes sense since Cynthia does love her research, but it's funny that it seems that if you want to find Cynthia, all you have to do is go to a museum or library and you might just encounter her. So Ash introduces Chloe to Cynthia, saying that Cynthia is both the champion of the Sinnoh region and an avid researcher. Chloe says that Cynthia is amazing and Cynthia thanks Chloe for the compliment. Cynthia then wonders what Ash and Chloe are doing here in the library. Ash says that they are here to find out more about Palkia, and Cynthia wonders if they are investigating the recent Pokemon disappearances, which shows that Cynthia is aware of what's going on. Cynthia then gives Ash and Chloe a quick lesson on Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus, which tells me that Arceus is definitely involved, just like I thought. Afterwards, they all leave the library. Now, it's funny that I noticed here that Team Rocket's balloon is on a nearby tree. This is where they landed. I had to rewind the episode here to see if the balloon was indeed here before when Ash and Chloe first arrived at the library, and it was. But I did not see it then. This episode has a lot of things that I only noticed after rewinding or rewatching the episode. So Ash wonders what Cynthia thinks about the recent Pokemon disappearances, and Cynthia says that Palkia could definitely be the culprit. Their conversation is interrupted by the other Team Rocket, who once again emerge from a gate. Now, I love that Chloe grabs Cynthia's sleeve and she says those are the thieves that took Ash's Pokemon. It's like Cynthia is a teacher slash mother and Chloe is the classic responsible slash class president type student slash daughter that is accusing the bully slash siblings of doing something awful. Ash demands to get Lucario back and Pikachu gets ready to battle, while Cynthia sends out Garchomp. The other Meowth uses Slash and Garchomp counters with Dragon Claw. They both clash and they appear to be evenly matched, which is surprising. I guess that the mech suit that other Meowth is wearing must be quite good, since it gives other Meowth the strength to rival Cynthia's Garchomp of all Pokemon. Cynthia then tells Garchomp to use Outrage, but Garchomp just stands there, dumbfounded. Likewise, Ash tells Pikachu to use Thunderbolt, but Pikachu just makes this face like, Thunder what now? At this point, I realized that both Pikachu and Garchomp probably forgot the moves they were told to use. There are blue particles floating around, which are probably to blame for this. Other Jessie confirms this by saying that the effect has finally reached this world as well. Wobbuffet then shoots nets towards Pikachu and Garchomp, but Cynthia surprisingly sends out a Kommo-o who uses Outrage to break the nets. I was honestly not expecting that Cynthia would use another Pokemon other than Garchomp, and especially not another pseudo-legendary Pokemon like Kommo-o. Sure, Cynthia does have other Pokemon aside from Garchomp, but she pretty much only uses Garchomp, so it's nice to see some more more of her Pokemon in action. The other Team Rocket decide to retreat and they go back to the gate. Ash, Chloe, Pikachu, and Eevee run towards the gate and they make it through even though Cynthia tells them not to go. Original Team Rocket are then shown on top of the nearby tree. They saw what happened with the other Team Rocket, but they only say that they were rather creepy and not, hey, they look just like us. James then wonders about the portal that the other Team Rocket used, and conveniently a portal opens right next to them. The episode then cuts to Ash and Chloe, who are now in the other world. However, they are still in the same place they were before, right in front of the library. They realize that the other Team Rocket and Cynthia are nowhere to be found. Ash says that this world looks just like their world. Nothing has changed. But Chloe says that something is strange. She looks around and she realizes that there are no flowers. Ash looks around as well and he realizes that there are no Pokemon either. Ash then points out that there is an aurora in the sky, which proves to them that they are definitely in some other world. Chloe says that they probably can't return to their world without the gate, and she wonders what they should do. Ash says that everything will work out and that they should start with finding Dawn and Go, and he runs off. Chloe says that Ash is such a positive thinker and she follows him. Ash calls out to the first person he sees hoping to get some help, and it turns out that he called out to another Ash. Both Ash are very shocked to see each other. The episode then cuts to the two Dawn and Go who are still at the Pokemon Center and they are still analyzing the situation. The episode then ends with Dialga and Palkia who are still fighting even though they are surrounded by the red chain and they also have the Arceus rings around them. So overall, this was a great episode. It was nice to see Dawn return and it's cool that we got to see her other Pokemon again. It's also great to see Cynthia again and the fact that she has a Komodo is definitely a nice surprise. I think that the premise of the episode was very good. It's crazy that Pokemon can forget moves and de-evolve because of the distortions in time. They can even turn back into eggs, which is just insane. It was also interesting to see another Dawn, another Team Rocket, and another Ash who are from another world. Doppelganger episodes are always fun, and while this episode did not have that many interactions between the originals and their counterparts, I still think that it was an enjoyable episode, and I think that the next episode will probably have a lot more fun interactions, and it should be a great episode. So yeah, this episode was good, but since it is only part 1, there is not much to say about it since all the good stuff will happen in the next episode, which is sure to be an even better episode. But still, episode 89 was a fun ride and I can't wait to see episode 90. But that's the video, as always. Leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching and let's meet again in the next video.